if you're one of the millions of people who wakes up feeling less like a person and more like the Tin Man before he got the oil can, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, the ritual.
The ritual.
Yeah.
It's that stiffness, right? The back that needs a few good cracks,
Yeah.
the fingers that feel kind of sandy, and, oh, the knees. The knees that need a good 5 minutes of just walking around before you stop protesting.
Mm-hmm.
That morning joint stiffness, it's a nearly universal thing as we get older. And for years, we've all been told the same story.
Right. It's either just aging
Or you overdid it. That walk you took yesterday, it's finally catching up.
Exactly.
But if you, like me, have sort of relied on those explanations, you need to prepare for a total reassessment. We did a deep dive into the source material you all sent us on this, and what we found suggests that those common assumptions, wear and tear, yesterday's workout, they really missed the mark.
They absolutely missed the mark. The research points to a fundamental distinction.
Okay.
Stiffness isn't the same as pain from an injury. Injury pain usually gets worse with activity.
Sure.
But morning stiffness is tied specifically to inactivity. Think about it. 6, 7, 8 hours of perfect rest makes you feel worse. That's a huge clue.
That is a huge clue. So today, our mission is to unpack that paradox.
Mm-hmm.
Why does rest make the joints seize up? And what does modern joint science say is the solution? Because the focus is shifting pretty dramatically.
It really is. It's moving toward hydration and lubrication inside the joint instead of the old way of just, masking the pain signal.
So it's about fixing the engine, not just turning off the warning light.
That's the perfect analogy. Stiffness is a signal about the joint's internal chemistry, its environment. We have to stop just treating the symptom.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's jump right into the science of what is actually happening inside your joints while you sleep.
Let's do it.
So let's start with that central puzzle piece. Prolonged inactivity. We know that with a bad injury, any movement hurts. But here, it's the total opposite. You wake up stiff, you move for maybe 15 minutes, and you feel better. What is going on during those motionless hours?
Well, the primary mechanism at play is the slowdown of fluid dynamics.
Fluid dynamics, okay.
When you're still, the systems that keep your joints moving smoothly and without friction, they slow way, way down. So that stiffness you feel when you wake up, it's a direct signal.
A signal about what?
About the internal joint environment lacking efficiency. Our analysis points to 3 core things that go wrong in that environment while you're resting.
That makes so much sense. Pain is driven by movement. This stiffness is driven by rest. Okay, so let's dig into cause number 1, which seems pretty simple, but easy to ignore.
Yeah.
Overnight dehydration.
Yeah, everyone thinks about dehydration from exercise or a hot day, but we lose water constantly.
Just by living.
Just by living. You breathe it out, you sweat a little bit, and that loss adds up over 6, 7, 8 hours. You wake up at least mildly dehydrated every single morning, whether you feel thirsty or not.
And I'm guessing our joints are extra sensitive to that drop in fluids.
Oh, absolutely. Think about what a joint is made of. It relies on water-rich structures. We're talking about cartilage, the shock absorber, and the synovial fluid, which is the lubricant. Cartilage especially, it's like a sophisticated hydrogel.
A hydrogel, right. It doesn't have its own blood supply.
Exactly. So it depends completely on the fluid around it for its structure, for its nutrients.
I remember seeing this great analogy in the sources, the one about the sponge. I think we should talk about that. It makes it so clear.
It's the perfect comparison, yeah. Think of healthy cartilage like a brand new kitchen sponge you've just soaked in water.
Okay, so it's plump, it's soft, flexible.
Right, it can absorb pressure easily. Now imagine you leave that sponge on a heater overnight.
Ugh, it would get all shrunken, stiff, and brittle. No springiness at all.
Precisely. When your body's hydration drops overnight, the cartilage literally loses water. It gets less elastic, more rigid. So that first movement in the morning, you're pushing on a dry, stiff surface.
That's the feeling. That immediate tightness. It's the sensation of dehydrated cartilage.
Yes. And here's the critical point. You can take a painkiller to numb that feeling, but it cannot rehydrate a dried out sponge.
Okay, wait, let me challenge that for a second. What if I drink a huge glass of water right before I go to bed? Does that fix it?
Not instantly, no. And this gets to the limits of circulation. Water helps the whole system, but your joints aren't flushed with blood like your muscles are.
It's a slow process.
It's a slow diffusion-based process.
Yeah.
That water needs to be available in the surrounding fluid. And that brings us to the second mechanism.
The synovial fluid.
Let's talk about that synovial fluid. You called it motor oil earlier, which is a great start.
So if it's motor oil, Why doesn't my body just keep it fresh? Why does it go bad just from resting?
That's where the analogy needs a little refinement. It's not a static oil, it's a dynamic gel-like fluid.
Hmm.
And it has this fascinating property where movement, just the stress of movement, actually makes it thinner and more lubricating.
Oh, okay, so it's like ketchup. You have to shake the bottle to get it to flow.
Exactly. That is a perfect comparison. When you're awake and moving, even just small movements, you're keeping that fluid thin and slippery. But during 6 to 8 hours of sleep, movement basically stops. The circulation of that fluid drops and it naturally thickens. It gels up.
Ah, so that rusty or grinding feeling. It's not actually bone on bone,
Not necessarily. It's the fluid itself resisting movement. When you first step out of bed, you're literally trying to force a thick, sluggish gel to flow.
which is why it gets better as I walk to the coffee machine.
Precisely. That movement starts to thin the fluid back out, redistributing the lubrication. The quality of that synovial fluid is absolutely critical for how you start your day.
Okay, so we have shrinking cartilage from dehydration and thickening lubricant from being still. That's already a recipe for a rough morning. Now, let's get into the third cause, low-grade inflammation.
Yeah, and we have to get past the image of like a big swollen knee after an injury. This is a quiet, persistent, chronic inflammation. It's the body's background noise.
And what's building up overnight?
It's a mix of things. Metabolic waste products, inflammatory compounds, things called cytokines. When you're active, your circulation is like a cleaning crew. It's constantly sweeping this stuff away.
But when you sleep, the cleaning crew goes home.
The cleaning crew slows way down, and you're often in these slightly compressed positions for hours, so the waste products just accumulate
To
locally.
get this perfect storm.
That's exactly it. You've got dehydrated tissues, thickened fluid, and now a buildup of irritating compounds. And for people with older joints, past injuries, or any kind of metabolic stress, that nightly accumulation is significantly worse.
Which brings us directly to the flaw in how we usually treat this. If I take an anti-inflammatory pill every morning, I'm just shooting the messenger. I'm not cleaning up the mess.
You're just suppressing the signal. The sources were very critical of the current market for this reason. Most traditional products, they just focus on pain relief.
Blocking nerve signals using creams.
Exactly. They treat the irritation, but they don't fix the environment that's causing it.
So it's like driving your car with the oil light on, but you just put a piece of tape over the light.
That is a dangerous long-term strategy for your joints. The science is clear. Those methods don't restore hydration, they don't improve the lubrication, and they do nothing for the long-term health of your cartilage.
And this is where it gets really interesting for you, the listener. If you are relying on something every single morning just to get moving, it's because the underlying issue, that dry sponge and thick fluid, is still there, day after day.
The pain isn't the problem, it's the alarm system.
An alarm system demanding you fix the root causes.
And this is the core of the paradigm shift in modern joint science. We're finally moving away from just muting the pain and toward restoring the environment inside the joint.
So the question changes.
The whole focus shifts. Instead of asking how do we stop the pain, the much better question is, why is the joint struggling to move smoothly in the first place?
Because if you can restore that smooth motion, the pain often takes care of itself.
It naturally decreases, yes.
So what does this modern hydration-first approach actually look like? If we know the three problems are fluid loss, fluid thickening, and inflammation, how do you target those?
The advanced research detailed in our sources focuses on three main areas. First, supporting synovial fluid quality.
Giving it the building blocks it needs.
Right, to keep it slippery. Second, improving cellular hydration so that cartilage sponge stays plump and springy. And third, enhancing nutrient absorption right at the joint level.
And the sources gave an example of this approach in action.
They did. The research highlighted a product called Biodynamix Joint Genesis as an example of something designed around this root cause understanding.
So it's not a painkiller. It targets the actual mechanisms.
Exactly. It's described as a hydration-first root cause approach. The whole point of the formulation is to deliver key nutrients that act as building blocks for that synovial fluid, supporting its volume and quality.
So if the fluid is healthier to begin with,
The joint just functions more efficiently when you wake up.
which means the loosening up process is faster. You're not waiting for your own movement to thin out that thick gel. You're starting with a better lubricant from the get-go.
That is the reported outcome, yes. The focus is on supporting better hydration and lubrication pathways. For the listener, what that means is your joints should feel less rusty and need way less time to get going in the morning.
Okay, let's bring this all home. What does this mean for you, the learner, in practical terms? Who really benefits from this shift in thinking?
Well, based on the sources, this is especially relevant for people whose stiffness is clearly tied to being still.
Right, stiffness after sleeping, a long car ride, sitting at a desk.
That gets dramatically better once you start moving. It's
Mhm.
for anyone who wants to stop relying on morning pain relievers or who really wants to support their joints for the long haul, maybe before the stiffness gets really bad.
So the final takeaway is,
The final synthesis is this. Morning joint stiffness is not just an inevitable part of aging. It's a really powerful signal from your body
the signal for what?
that it needs better internal support. Primarily, support for its fluid mechanics, hydration, and lubrication. When you actually address those root causes, flexibility improves, movement feels smoother, and your need for temporary pain relief just. It often starts to decrease on its own.
That's a fundamental rethinking of daily discomfort. We've gone deep into why that morning stiffness happens. It's less about wear and tear and so much more about the internal chemistry.
It is. So, for your final provocative thought to take away from this deep dive, if we know the stiffness is caused by overnight fluid thickening due to inactivity,
And the goal is to get that fluid circulating again.
right, and to gently rehydrate the cartilage, what small, specific movement taken right when you wake up, before coffee, before your phone, would offer the most immediate mechanical support? Think about it. Would slow, deliberate rolling and gentle, compressive movements while you're still in bed be better than immediately standing up and stretching? I'd encourage you to explore that question on your own and just feel the difference in your mornings.
Until the next deep dive, move smoothly.